For the last couple of years, Apple has been rumored to be working on an iWatch, a wearable device that would compete with the Samsung Gear smartwatches and the other various different fitness bands and smartwatches on the market right now. Now, during the same time frame of the last couple of years, Apple's iPod lineup has slowly been decreasing in sales, with fewer and fewer units being sold every year, and analysts are predicting that Apple will eventually just drop the entire lineup. But in this video, I just want to explain why the iWatch actually could be the iPod of the future, and how it could actually replace each of Apple's existing iPods. So I'm not just going to make the obvious comparison that the iWatch will be like the 6th generation iPod Nano. We don't know that for sure, and while I'm sure it will share some features with the iPod Nano, that will be the only thing that it will be similar to. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. The iPod Shuffle is currently Apple's cheapest device, probably. It only costs $50, and it's used a lot by people who want to run a lot, or who are going to the gym to work out, and they don't want to take their smartphone, they just want to take a really small clip-on device, and they don't want to pay that much for it. The Apple iWatch, it's pretty obvious how it could replace the iPod Shuffle. Basically, it would be a very small device as well, possibly with a clip-on capability, or maybe you just wear it on a watch band on your wrist. Either way, it's pretty easy to wear, but not only could you listen to music on it, or possibly even listen to the radio, it would probably be able to track your fitness data as well. As we've been seeing in Apple's iOS 8 leaks, a health book should be a major part of the upcoming Apple operating system, and there's really no point for Apple to even create a health book app if they're not planning to make the iWatch heavily integrated with health and fitness. So the iWatch could easily replace the iPod Shuffle in the sense that it becomes the go-to gadget for fitness people and people who want to track how many steps they've run, all while listening to their music. Now, obviously, the iWatch is probably going to be most similar to the iPod Nano, maybe the 6th generation iPod Nano, although I do expect it to be somewhat different. It will probably have a touchscreen, like the 6th generation iPod Nano and the 7th generation iPod Nano. It'll probably have a fairly small design as well, with a screen. It'll probably have most of the same capabilities, it might even have a couple more, but I would expect it to definitely have music support, possibly even video support, although I can't see too many people wanting to watch videos on their smartwatch. Like I said before, it'll probably have fitness stuff, maybe even radio, podcasts, all that kind of stuff, probably integration with iTunes, and a lot of interesting stuff that the iPod Nano already has. Also, like I said, it will probably be more integrated with like how many steps you're taking. It might be like a pedometer like the iPod Nano is already right now. So I think we're probably going to be seeing a lot of similarity between the iWatch and the iPod Nano as it is right now. Also, another similarity could be price. Analysts are predicting that the iWatch will hit in the second half of 2014 for between about $149 and $229, which starts actually at the level of pricing for the iPod Nano. The iPod Nano costs $150 currently for the 7th generation model, which is the current model. Obviously, I think the Apple will need to do something different with the iWatch to separate it from the iPod Nano, otherwise it would be a boring product, and I think they will do that with some of the iOS 8 integration and maybe some things that we don't even know about yet, but either way, I think the iWatch should be somewhat different from the iPod Nano while still replacing some of its functionality. Now lastly, I think the iWatch will replace the iPod Touch in a certain sense. Now, before you just go ahead and jump and criticize me in the comments for saying this, obviously the iWatch is not going to be an iPod Touch replacement in the sense that it's not going to be able to run hardcore apps. I'm sure it will not be able to do that. I'm sure it will not be able to probably get internet access or browse the internet for that matter. There would just really be no point to it. And I really don't think it'll have a lot of the functionality of the iPod Touch, but here's the thing, I think the iWatch and an iPhone combination, I think those two together, I think those could effectively replace the iPod Touch, because basically the iWatch is going to be the device that you pull out and you just quickly check, and it's easy to get quick notifications from, and from your iPhone probably. I think it should be integrated with Apple's next iPhone. Apple's iPhone is the thing that you're going to be using to play your apps on, the things that you're going to be using for mainly to replace your iPod Touch. And while I don't think an iWatch and an iPhone can completely replace the iPod Touch in the sense that I think you still have to pay for data on the iPhone, and you don't have to do that on the iPod Touch, I think that the iPod Touch will become less relevant as Apple begins to really ramp up the iWatch and the iPhone 6, hopefully, which will be coming out around the same time. But anyways, that's just my predictions for the iWatch. They could be totally off, it's just my speculations. Let me know what your speculations are in the comments below. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!